Jim, that's before your time, but I was in Tallahassee when we had thousands of TV trucks. Everybody around the world was in Tallahassee. Frat boys were renting their rooms out to news people for $500 a night. So Tallahassee's a little famous, unfortunately for that. I've been there 13 years, and 13 years ago, summer of 1993, I was at RUI. Back then it was called ICM. And our whole class met in the cafeteria the whole time, 2 weeks. And so it was grueling, but it was fun. I got to meet a lot of people that are still in Chi Alpha. They're still doing ministry at Kansas. Somebody talked to Kansas here. Even, who was the lady? Sue is at my RUI. We've got people all over the country that were at RUI, and they're still doing ministry. It's pretty neat, so I'm really excited about the opportunity to come and share with you. I don't know what I can do to tell you to maybe get you to listen to me, other than I've been there 13 years. I could tell you, people like to hear about success stories. Somebody did ask me, and they're not here. Please, in Chi Alpha culture, we don't usually ask how many you're running, okay? One of the things that really turned me on to Chi Alpha is that no one ever asked me that number. No one ever asked me, how many are you running? What they did ask me back 13 years ago that I was really challenged by was, are you discipling people? Are you fulfilling the Great Commission? Are you praying? A lot of things without ever asking how many you're running. But somebody did ask me. I was a little disappointed. But it was a student, so it wasn't one of you. But that's one thing I love about Chi Alpha. It's about, are we doing what God has called us to do? It's not about a number. If we wanted numbers, we could just tell you how to get pizza for free and give it away, and then you'll have a big group. But this is not about giving pizza for free. It's about changing the world, changing lives. I was teaching a class with the students about discipleship. It's about discipleship. How do we fulfill Matthew 28? And so Chi Alpha is very important. It's part of my life. I feel like me and Chi Alpha are like the Borg. I cannot separate myself from Chi Alpha. And so 13 years, started from scratch. We pioneered Florida State. At one time or another, there were other Chi Alpha groups at Florida State, but they were student-led. They lasted for about a year or two, and then they died out. So 1993, I went to RUI. I took notes. I listened to whoever was teaching. Samuel Mathai, who was our international director at that time. Harvey Herman. Dick Schroeder. I just listened to what they had to say. I wrote the notes down, took the book home with me, and I did exactly what they told me to do. And I'm telling you, it works. So trust the men and women that are presenting to you, because they are doing it and have done it, and they're doing it well. They asked me to come and share a little bit today about diversity. Now, I'm not sure why they picked me to teach the diversity class. But if you look around in Chi Alpha leadership, there's really not too many people that are not white. And so I'm part of the executive leadership team as well. I got to go from here to the meeting downtown. And one of the things that we worked on the past 2 years is our core values. And what do you see on this wall are some of the words that we have part of our core values. And one of them I took, that's over here. It was never up, unfortunately. But it's diversity. It is a core value of Chi Alpha now. It is something that we truly believe in. And these are the two up there, and there's another one, integrity. I can't remember the other ones, so don't ask me, but it'll be on your letterhead. But diversity, why is it important? So 2-3 years ago, we were revamping Chi Alpha, and one of the things that we notice as they look around is that it's very, very white. But we can't help that because it's just the way it is. And so no one was throwing stones. I'm not throwing stones. You're just a white organization. I wasn't thinking that at all. It just is the resources in the pool of people that we have happen to be mostly Caucasian. And so we've been working very hard to help us with core values. And core values are like guardrails, if you will, to keep us focused. And everything that we do in Chi Alpha, we are going to ask, does it fulfill our core values? And so one of them we're going to talk about is diversity. And so instead of me just giving you ideas, which is, I'll give you some ideas, I'm going to ask you to help me come up with some ideas, and we'll go through a little little exercise, and that's what the word scamper is there for. So why are we talking about diversity on campus? And technically, we're talking about diversity on campus, not in Chi Alpha. But again, that's where it all began. Again, it is because it's one of our core values. And tomorrow, I'm not sure if you're in my class, but I'll be talking about core values. And so this core value, as I said, is a driving force. It is driving us to be what we want our Chi Alpha Ministries to be. And so let me give you a little definitions. Diverse. Just grab this off of the web, and it's called different from one another, or made up of distinct characteristics, qualities, or elements. Diversity, basically the same thing. The fact or quality of being diverse. This one for diversity, a point in which things differ, or variety. Now, I would like for you to, I didn't bring it, I can't believe I forgot, but I want you to think of this little toy object in your mind. Raise your hand when you actually can picture this object in your head. You ready? A Lego. Okay, right, okay. Now, here's a funny question, all right? You ready for a Lego question? Tell me, what color is your Lego in your mind? Yellow. Anybody else have a yellow Lego? How about a red Lego? I was thinking red. Blue? Purple? Who has a purple Lego? Now, if you could think about a Lego as we talk about diversity. I love Legos. I went to my wife, my beautiful wife, and if you see her, she really is beautiful. And I had a cop at a grocery store. I'd never seen this happen. He actually looked her up and down in front of me. And I'm like, hey. But he had his badge on, so I had to be careful. But anyway, she's beautiful, and she teaches. I got sidetracked. She teaches, and I happen to go visit her in class sometime. And there, next to her class, she teaches art, is a little kid's room, and there's this Lego box. And one thing I noticed about the Lego box is that it's made up of all different colors. And the new Legos are made up of different shapes. The cool thing about a Lego, and I did this at a wedding. I stole the idea. I can't even tell you, it's not my original idea, but I loved it, is that a Lego represents people, I believe, from all different colors, shapes, and backgrounds. Every single one of you bring something to the table to Chi Alpha that's very unique. Now, I know Legos doesn't really work completely because a lot of them are similar and they were made from the same manufacturer. But if you can stretch your mind a little bit, Legos have all different colors and different shapes and sizes. And so I did this at a wedding. And the couple that Micah and Corey, you know, Jim, it just fit them real well. The neat thing about a Lego is that all these little pieces, different colors, different backgrounds, different shapes, different sizes. But the design of that Lego is made to be connected. All right? It's designed to be connected. Now think of diversity in your group, in your Chi Alpha group, the group you're going to, my group. I believe God is bringing people from all different backgrounds, cultures, colors, family life, sizes, big people, little people, small, big, short, heavy, skinny, the whole gamut. But they're designed to be connected. Now, the great thing about this wedding is, again, it was a great idea and everybody loved me for it. But the way Lego works, they're different. They're designed to be connected. It takes a third party to connect them. And God, I believe, is that third party for your group and my group. Because I'm going to tell you, we have a problem at Florida State with diversity. And so I believe, as I picture this Lego in your mind, and anytime you see a Lego, you think, all right, Chi Alpha group, different backgrounds, designed to be connected, and it takes a third person. And it could be you being that third person as a campus pastor to bring people together, to connect, to make this, incredible looking spaceship or car or house something beautiful that people can enjoy and look at. It takes different colors, different shapes and sizes to make this beautiful picture. All right, so diverse and diversity, I gave you a little bit of a definition. In Chi Alpha, we want you to work hard at being diverse in your group. And when we say diverse, usually people think black and white. But there's much more to diverse than color. All right? So I don't know who made this blackboard, but they made it for a 6'5" guy. Not for a 5'5" guy. That's all right. We'll do this. I can erase that, right? You got that? Florida State, 39,000 students, Mario at xafsu.com. Thinking people, all right? Tell me how different, give me some examples of how we can be diverse. All right, we could use, right off the bat, we could use color of skin, right? What else? Say that again. Language. Hey, listen, just to give you a heads up. One time I was disobedient and my mom chopped my ear off. That's what I tell little kids. It's not true. They're like, what happened to your ear? Well, I didn't listen to mommy. And she went, whack. So listen to your mommy. So I was born with a deformed right ear and had a lot of surgery. So I can't hear out of this ear. So I didn't know this till a lot later on in life, but when you can't hear out of one ear, I could hear real well. I heard what you said, but I had no idea where it came from, which is really weird. So I heard it, and I'm like, who said that? So if you want to say something, just raise your hand so I can visually make eye contact with you. Language. Who has good handwriting? I have terrible handwriting. Yeah, you want to do that? She's a fellow Colombiana. Yes. That's a good one. Religion.
Well, since we're students, there are
Majors, absolutely. In the red? Culture. Right. And we could really break that down. We might a little bit later on. Personalities is a really good one. Just a side note as she's writing, and what did you say? Economic background. Be a student of personalities, all right? I'm not sure. Are you taking any tests or any classes on personalities? There's a book by Tim and Beverly LaHaye, Why You Act the Way You Do. Read it. Read it again, and read it again, and then read it again, all right? Let me tell you, there are so many times in my early life in campus ministry where I looked at someone and I thought they were angry, and I didn't want to be near angry people. And what I didn't know, they were just being phlegmatic, all right? Expressionless. And then what happens when you misread people, you begin to behave a certain way towards them. So please read Tim and Beverly LaHaye's book, Why You Act the Way You Do. Any other ideas? Yes. And wait. Family size, right? Only child, huge. I come from a family of 6. Anybody over here? I sense smart people over here. Interest, hobbies, kind of stuff.
When I was in RA, they always talked about diversity and always leaning towards
Sexual orientation, of course. Technically, when I was in the meeting to make the core values, we came up with the word diverse because the word diversity usually means, on the secular campus, sexual orientation. And so I thought diverse was a little bit better word because it didn't force us to go that direction, but that's true. Anyone here in the middle? There's a whole bunch, isn't there? I mean, we could go on and on forever.
Yeah, I was just thinking from like a subculture perspective. Like
Yeah.
those that are into sports and those
Right, absolutely. And that's where we'll break down in the culture. Any last ideas? Let me see if I wrote any. Yes? Physical ability, right? Right, absolutely. So maybe this is a subculture. I talk to people who are into music. Emo people. You know any emo people? Sports jock, intellectual, ugly, good looking. So then we can go on and on about breaking down the races, those who are Oriental, those who are Latin descent, European. And so what I would like for you to do, that's good, thank you so much. You did really well. Is what I've challenged you to do is, in my group at Florida State, I'm going to just give you a number. In no way is this a number to give me a place of prominence, all right? It's not. We have a group of around 225 students, okay? Jim was our intern 2 years ago, did a wonderful job. And one of the things that we were challenged from an outside source was about being diverse and connecting with our black culture. In the South, it's still kind of commonplace for black students to hang around with black students and white with whites. If you go to our union on a Wednesday, which is a real heavy populated day at the campus, you'll see a whole section of black students. And then it's club day, all the clubs are out there, so Latin section, and then the general school population. So there's not a lot of interaction. There is, but there isn't. And so Chi Alpha, we are a snapshot of our school. And 2-3 years ago, we did have some students from different racial backgrounds, but not much. And this outside source really challenged us to think creatively, and that's what we're going to do in a second with this thing, Scamper. Think creatively how we can be more diverse. And so one of the things that we did was began to listen to students. We actually asked students what they thought. And we're going to talk about black students in my group. The funny thing is, I didn't realize, but in the black culture, there's those, what they would say, that are black, and then there's white black. And I didn't know that existed, all right? And most of our Chi Alpha guys in my group apparently were white black. And so, but it was very interesting when I started to ask questions. And so I started sitting down with them. I said, I would ask them questions. We give this perception that we're anti-black? And a lot of times they said no. Do you feel like black people would feel welcome here? And they said a lot of times they said no. It was kind of a hard pill to swallow. And but the funny thing about our group was, for some reason, we had a lot of Spanish people in our group. Now I began to wonder, is it that because I'm up front, I'm the main campus pastor, somehow Spanish people, and I'm not really, I'm like an oatmeal cream pie, okay? I'm dark on the outside, but white on the inside. So, but we have lots more than the school population as far as percentage-wise. And I think psychologically, they come and visit, and they see a Spanish guy leading the group, predominantly white group, and somehow they feel very connected. And I think that's a neat dynamic that I want to share with you a little bit later on. And so we ask questions of your students. So we looked at Florida State, and we realized that it is 15% black. It is about 12% Hispanic. And about, I think it's 5% Asian. All right, so it's not a real big, heavy, international, multiracial campus. The other thing, too, we didn't write here gender, didn't we? We talked about gender. It is 55% female, 45% male. However, in Chi Alpha at Florida State, I'll write it down, okay? We are about 7% black. We're probably like 15% Hispanic. We're probably like 1% Asian, and get this, we are 66% female, 33% male. All right? Who's got the opposite problem? More men than women in your group. You do? All right, well, let's link up, all right? And so when I was looking at diversity, and I scanned the school population to get me some clear understanding what I believe our group should look like. I think my group at Florida State should give a glimpse, a snapshot, a sample of what the total population looks like. I'm not talking about Tallahassee. That's where the school resides. I'm talking about Florida State population. And so we realized right away that there was some work to be done, especially on the male to female ratio and black student ratio. Does anybody would like to say what maybe your school breakdown is, and then what your group is, if there's some differences? Could be even gender. Yes? Yeah, Jim's got a unique situation. Go ahead, Jim.
I'm at the University of California, Irvine, in the heart of Orange County, California, and we are 55% Asian American on our campus of 25,000 students. Robin came from Florida State University, where he was in that 1% group.
Yeah, he was it. Now we're probably to zero.
And he felt like he had gone to heaven when he came to UCI. We're about 55% male in the school population also.
And you're just pioneering, so what does your group look like?
My group is, let's see, we represent 5 different nationalities.
Okay.
We have at least 3 different language groups in our Chi Alpha group. And the Anglo-Saxon population is the minority.
All right. So you kind of fit your school anyway. So you're doing a good job. Anyone's group that's got a little problem like I do? You raise your hands. Okay, so, all right. So we all know that and I believe strongly, especially with this generation that you're working with, college students, they are looking for ministries that are diverse. Please don't tape this or we'll erase this. At World Mission Summit was phenomenal. I loved it. I asked my students, what'd you think? And they were like, awesome. What'd you think of speakers? All a bunch of old white guys. All right? It's the first thing that came out, and it didn't dawn on me. And I believe if we're not on top of this really soon, that we'll be marginalized and pushed aside in your groups. And I think the reason is that my mother-in-law, she's good old American, loves gospel, Southern gospel. I hate it. So I just like to tease my mother-in-law. I said, when they get to heaven, they're not going to be playing Southern gospel. According to just the raw numbers, they're probably going to play some Asian music or Latin music or African music. So when I get under her skin, I'll just say those things. She get no. But it is a snapshot of what heaven is going to be like. I believe that your group can be a testimony, probably better than doing pamphlet evangelism or anything else, is if you can work hard at getting your group to be diverse. Because diversity is something this culture loves. Now, they may be talking about sexual orientation, but when a student walks in and they see a multicultural, multiracial people loving Jesus and loving each other and getting along, man, that is a testimony. And we're working hard at our group to get there. The biggest problem we're having is more on the male-female ratio. And why is that? I've got if you want me to get on a soapbox about why there's more women and men in the church, we'll talk about it at lunch or something. But I got like a 4-hour seminar. I've done a lot of research on it. But we're going to have to change some things. So in order for Chi Alpha at Florida State to do better in these areas so we can be a representation of the kingdom of God, and that we don't come across as though we're being exclusive, we're going to have to work hard in making some changes. And so, what do you think are some ideas a group can do to make some changes? Yes, raise your hand, yes. I'm gonna raise this, all right? Everybody cool with that? Go ahead, raise up what?
Raise up like internationals or people of color to be in positions of leadership.
All right, that's a very good one. I would write that down. The hard part is raising them up and getting them into positions of leadership. But it is an answer. Any other ideas? You guys are smart. Come on.
Our like brochures and anything that we have that post. When we first came, it was like majority white, and we started to put pictures of students that weren't white.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we had no other color besides myself. And so that really made a huge difference. So all our pictures that we would hang up in our building or anything like that were multicolored people that we got on the internet. Like, can I tell you, we are very diverse.
All right. Well, that's good. The only reason I write this little diagram is be careful. This is a little advertisement diagram. Technically, it's not, but it is technically. Both of these boxes are the same size. All right. But the reason this one looks bigger, right? Well, technically it's supposed to look bigger. Is I take that back. Which one's looking bigger? This one looks bigger. Why? Because we're advertising, if this is the product, let's just say it's Chi Alpha, and we're advertising ourselves. And one of the problems is that be careful not to false advertise your group. So if you're pulling pictures down, I'm telling you, I hate stock photo. It gives the wrong impression. And when somebody, a lot of churches do it. You go to their website and their stocked photo, And then you walk into a church group, your Chi Alpha group, and you're thinking, where in the heck is that multiracial couple that's on the website? They're nowhere to be found. And, and so be careful that you don't oversell the product. I've made that mistake. The very first week we had Chi Alpha, I rented a worship band. The next week it was me and my little keyboard, all right? So that's a good, I would agree. Definitely. Absolutely. Our brochure, which I was hoping to have in your hands, I only have in PDF form, we make sure that it's multi-racial on every picture. But every person in that picture belongs to our group, okay? We didn't just take a stock photo of a black guy, all right? Okay? So be careful. Be careful. But be aware, because I would say previous to us being aware of not being diverse, a lot of our photos were of a certain group. And it's usually like the yearbook situation. The yearbook staff and their friends are on the yearbook all the time, right? And so the guy that's taking the pictures in Chi Alpha is taking pictures of the activities he's involved in. And so we definitely only have one vantage point or one picture of Chi Alpha. Any other ideas of how we can be more diverse? All right, yes?
To intentionally have outreaches that appeal to others.
Right. That's an excellent. Intentionally appeal to other cultural backgrounds.
To be diverse in your music selection for worship.
Absolutely. Again, that's good. However, that's hard. All right? Let me tell you something. What we're talking about is not easy. Yes. Ooh, I'm running out of time, aren't I? 11:15, right? Yeah, I'm running out of time.
In great missions, have a mission from just preach missions and maybe do short-term outreaches in some overseas.
Amen. Okay, we don't have time for more answers because you're going to work on some answers. If you can ever get a book called Thinker Toys, Thinkertoys, by Michael Michalko, Michalko. It is a book on creativity. It is not a Christian book, but it's a book on creativity. And what we need in this room, I believe that God's going to use some of you to be creative and how to draw people to get connected, Legos, if you will, to get connected into Chi Alpha. All right. And so this is just a little exercise that you can use that'll force you to be creative. See, listen, I'll be honest with you. I'm not very creative. I'm really good at replicating what someone else is doing. That's my creativity. University of Arkansas, Ronnie Hoover's doing that. We're going to do that. University of Louisiana, Lafayette, Eric Truel. Oh, he's doing that. I want to do that. But the problem is when that's pretty good, but that'll only take you so far, all right? And so here's a little exercise this book has challenged me with. It's called Scamper, all right? And so you could do this with any challenge. You know, how to grow your group, all right? That's a challenge. So the number one thing of this exercise is write down your challenge. Literally write it down. So let's just say our challenge as a group exercise, our challenge is, how do I get my group to be more diverse? All right, so write that down. I'll give you a few seconds. While you're writing that down, Florida State is a really big athletic school, but we have no football players or big-time varsity sports athletes in our group. And we purposely have chosen not to reach them, all right? Not because we don't want to, it's just that we can't. We don't have the resources. For example, a Florida State football player, once he finishes school in the afternoon, 2 or 3 o'clock, he goes straight to some sort of room where he can help with his homework. Then he has his dinner meetings, and then he has like football meetings from 7 to 9. And the only time he has free is like 9:30 at night. So if I wanted to bring an athlete, I would have to adjust to his schedule. And so we've chosen, it's such a small pool of people to make such a big change that we'll let FCA just do it. All right, so if a big-time athlete comes to Chi Alpha and we cannot meet their need of scheduling. So we tell them, get connected with FCA. So we work with these kind of, okay. So write down the problem, the challenge. I don't like to use the word problem, but challenge. Okay, S stands for substitute. I'm going to just give you what they mean. C equals combine. And the answer I just gave you about FCA and athletes, C, combine, would be a good example. So we combine together in the sense of reaching an athlete, and we end up giving to them. So it's combine. A is adapt. M is modify. The other M is magnify. P is put to other uses. E is eliminate. And R is rearrange. For example, substitute. We're going to go through this real fast because I want you to do this exercise in the last 10 minutes. All right. Someone used worship. You said worship, right? Okay. That's an answer. I don't know if it's the answer, okay? But I believe that you can change your style of worship to be inviting to different people groups. Our worship really is a very white worship. Chi Alpha worship in general, all right? and I'm going to get on my soapbox. You ready for this? You're going to get mad at me. I know you are. But we also cater to women. Our worship songs are catered to women. Meaning we're talking about relationship, longing. I just want to sense it's more of an intimate, passionate, we use those words. There's been a study. Men never use the word intimate in their language. I would never say to Chris, hey, how about let's go to the mud house and let's get intimate. Right? Or let's be passionate. All right? In other words, men never use those words. I know I'm getting off track, but men never use those words in a daily conversational. And they very rarely use it in relational issues. Not even if they're talking to a sister in the Lord, they would never use the word intimate or passionate. And then for married men, even words are difficult for men to just be this romantic, passionate person. But it's every woman's dream and desire. And I understand it. Now, I've been raised in this culture, so I have no problem singing love songs to Jesus, all right? And that you're beautiful. I want to be in your embrace. I just want to, I don't have to do this hurdle in my mind of man. I don't have a problem saying, Jesus, I want to be held in your arms. But someone who's not raised in that culture, someone who's come in and they're new in the faith, and a guy, I mean, he's got to sing to a guy. And last little soapbox. 65% of men hate singing. They don't feel like they can sing. They're not competent and confident in their singing. But when they come to our church service, we make them sing for 30 minutes. You know, and then we make them sing love songs on top of that. I can't picture of a frat house getting together and singing for 30 minutes love songs, you know? So anyway, that's my little soapbox. But what we did is that to help us to reach more men, we try to eliminate. We didn't eliminate all because we have 66% women. We try to raise our language, male language in our group. I had a problem saying, if you're new here to Chi Alpha, I hope you feel welcome and loved. And then after reading what I've been reading and studying, I wanted to change. I wanted to say challenged, because men like to be challenged. So I hope you feel welcome and loved. I couldn't help it. It came out love. But it's hard to change our language for men. And then our worship, this is what we did, because we're really trying hard to reach more men. And I think this is still healthy anyway. We try to make our worship songs God-centric, all right? Now, please don't record this, all right? Once we turn it around and make it about ourselves, we're going to fall into this trap of being, it's almost like spiritual Christian hedonism. It's about me. And worship really is about him. So whether I feel the warmth of his embrace really shouldn't matter, because I need to worship him because he's King of Kings and Lord of Lords. If you do a little study, you can see how it's changed from the 70s to the 80s. 70s was really big on worship from the Word. They take the Psalms and they just do that. And that's okay, because it's the Word. And the 80s is more about the kingship, King of Kings and Lord of Lords, glory. Around the 90s, it really began to change, pure heart, all these nice, warm, fuzzy songs. So we have purposely changed our worship pattern. Now, did we get rid of all our intimate songs? No, they're in there. But we balance them out. Songs about battle, songs about, the cross before me, the world behind me. That's a tough song. That's a challenging song. And I challenged our group a few years ago. Where are those songs? Where are the songs that men and women are challenged to live for Jesus? And so, anyway, S is what? Substitute. So what we did with worship is we began to substitute some songs with other songs. Okay, we've got to move fast. We're running out of time. Combine. I'm going to just read here. Much creative thinking involves synthesis, the process of combining previously unrelated ideas. And I have this example of two pyramids, and then bring them close, they become one pyramid. And basically, I gave you the example of combining. Now, this may not sound cool, but it is. If I want to reach athletes, if I have a heart for athletes, but I can't do it, then I will combine with FCA and let them do it. And so Joe Schmo comes to my group, Florida State Chi Alpha, and he's an athlete, and he can only meet at 10 o'clock at night. I can't do it, but FCA can do it. As a matter of fact, FCA doesn't meet when we meet. And so we work together. We combine resources. So the C's combine. We'll move fast. So you talk, just the word combine will help you. Adapt. You ask the questions. To be an expert in adaptation, ask, what else is like this? What other ideas does this suggest? Does the past offer parallel? What could I copy, adapt? One of the paradoxes of creativity is that in order to think originally, one must be first familiar with the ideas of others. And so what you do is, somebody told me this at Florida State Chi Alpha. Football is God at Florida State, all right? When I introduce people to our arena, our football stadium, I tell them, this is where Florida State comes to worship, all right? I had 2 words of advice. One is, Mario, football is a god. It's idolatry. You do your meetings when football's going on, all right? And then I had other advice from someone that said, Mario, whatever you do, don't plan anything during a football game, all right? And so at first, I tried to do the first because it sounded more spiritual, but nobody was coming. And if I wanted to be a hardhead, what's my goal? To reach students, to disciple students, to be a vibrant campus ministry. If I really wanted to do that, and I kept on having our meetings or things during football and acting as though it didn't exist, no one was coming. I was failing at my goal. So what did I do? I had to adapt. Sometimes you have to look at other situations, other groups, what they're doing, this kind of thing, and then make some adaptation. So how do we do this as far as diversity? We might have to adapt worship songs. We might have to change them. We might have to bring some Israel Houghton, I can't even say his name, some different worship songs. The problem I found with worship songs is that if you have a worship group that's only learned white worship songs, it's very hard for them to do others. So what we did is we adapted a CD. We'll worship through a CD. You have to adapt to reach your goal. All right, let's move on. Adapt to what's next. Magnify. Modify. Well, it may have been magnify first and then modify, all right? Americans tend to believe that bigger is better. People often perceive objects they value highly as being larger than the objects they value less. So, we ask this. Maybe it's like putting your best foot forward. All right? You have some students that are culturally diverse. Maybe we're not just talking about racial, okay? But for us, let's just talk about gender, okay? Then we're going to put our men up front to help attract more men. We're going to change what we're doing. We're going to magnify something what we want, okay? And so I have an associate named Jeremy. I'm going to put him up front. If Jim was there, I'll put him up front. Any guy, I'll put up front. If that means putting him to do announcements, when normally we would have maybe some girls do announcements, or we're putting him up front. Magnify what you want to attract. Modify was the other one, right? Let me see. Modify. At one time, the Ford Motor Company controlled 60% of the automobile market. Then General Motors asked some questions about modification and came out with a philosophy that stated, a car with every shape and color for every purse and purpose. Henry Ford responded, any customer can have a car painted any color so long it is black. Ford sales slumped, and by 1940, they had just 20% of the new car market. GM, by modifying their product to the market, had taken the lead. So again, these are business, secular concepts. we need to pray about if you're going to modify anything. But again, for us, the gender story, we modified some of the activities. For example, for the opening week, Jim, you were there for that opening week. What did we do? We did dodgeball. We did kickball, outside activities. And the dodgeball attracted lots of guys. I wasn't even there, but
We had 60 or 70 guys out there. I got smacked right in the face first step on the court.
right,
Love dodgeball.
right.
Good dodgeball.
So, only a handful of girls, right? Right. We did offer an alternative, is I think going 8 at 8, going out with 8 people to dinner at 8, something like that. And that was well attended, but we wanted to attract guys, so we had, the first week before school started, we did dodgeball. And now I've been reading some other books. There's all sorts of, if you remember elementary, and you probably don't because you're too young. Again, I won't get on my soapbox, but when I was growing up, there was all sorts of competitive games that we played at school that you're no longer allowed to play at school, all right? So if it's tag or was it the pencil game, you remember, and knock the knuckles, or the slap game. And so we're going to do that this year, actually. We're going to try to reinstitute a lot of the games that were banned in elementary school. What that will do, literally, it will attract guys. So, you remember, I don't even know if it's technically you're allowed to say Indian leg wrestling, that kind of stuff. Stuff that you're not allowed to do at school anymore. And so, we have to modify. Let's move on because I'm running out of time. I only have 7 minutes. You guys doing all right? Eliminate or minify. And it says this: the original American donut did not have a hole. According to one legend, a small boy who was watching his mother make donuts noticed that the centers weren't thoroughly cooked. He took a fork and poked out the center, creating the donut hole and the donut as we know it. I love this exercise. Okay, let's see if I can do it right, all right? Matter of fact, if I do it in front of you, you'll know it. You want to close your eyes for 60 seconds. No cheating. All right, open your eyes. Can you figure out a single word Christmas greeting the design above conveys? You can get a Christmas song. Raise your hand once you can figure it out. There's a Christmas song that this object conveys. Noel. And the little object here is this, is that, and actually this is not a good way to do it because once you have it printed before you, you look at it and you scan it, it's like, it's the alphabet. You don't really look at it carefully, and you did because you saw me writing it down. But you didn't see me, but you heard me write it down. What this is saying is this: sometimes you can find an answer just by eliminating something, okay? And so maybe it's something that you just have to make something smaller. Instead of, how about this? Instead of, there's no L in the alphabet. It should be JKL. No L. All right? All right. So, all right. Minify or eliminate for the E, right? So this is what we did. Instead of trying to bolster the percentages in our large group gathering, we made it into a small group gathering. So we purposely thought, how can we bolster male small groups? All right? And so instead of doing, we're going to just go through the book of Romans and try to get small groups, we try to really concentrate. Instead of trying to, how are we going to get more men in our large group gathering? We minified or eliminated that concept and just started focusing on something small. Start small. All right? We got to hurry up. R. P. Eliminate scamper. So I missed P? What do you think P is? What did I say it was? Put to other uses. I need glasses, is what I need. Let me just go. And R is what? Rearrange. I'm going to do R and then I'll go to P, okay? R. Sometimes, if you just rearrange something, it can bring the results that you're looking for. Sometimes what I would do is reverse some things. Now, again, we're trying to reach guys, and it was easy for us to rearrange or reverse something. Is instead of this past year, our worship leader was a girl, but what I did is I implemented another worship leader who was a guy. And so what we did is a lot of times we kind of just happened naturally. The guys led the guy songs, the songs that are about God and are about battle. And I'm not saying that girls don't like those. Please don't overread what I'm saying. And so we were really trying to be more manly, which is very difficult to define nowadays. All right? And so I told Nathan, you lead the battle songs. All right? You lead the tough songs. You lead the songs about, and then and Alex Dees, or Alexandria, beautiful song voice, and she led the other songs. So we just try to do something in reverse. We try to rearrange. Again, our big goal was to reach students. Our desire was to get more men connected to church, to Chi Alpha. And so we had to do some rearranging. Put to other uses, real simple. Just what else could you do? Let me see here. These questions will help you find an idea or product or service. And here are the questions. What else can this be used for? Are there new ways to use as is? What else can be made from this? And so for the P, put to other uses, maybe again, I would just, instead of taking a girl and act like she doesn't exist anymore, put her in different uses, or grab a guy and put him in different uses. You can use the scamper concept on almost any challenge, all right? And what that word scamper, will help you to think creatively. Because if you're like me, I don't think creatively. I duplicate what other people are doing, but if they're having the same problems, I'm up the creek. And so what you do is you don't try to find it, like, for example, diversity, what we're talking about. I don't try to do a problem in each one. I'll just take one letter, S. How can I be more diverse with the letter S? And what did we talk about? Substitute, right? What can I do? And I'll just think. Another little creative tool that I would use to help you to be more diverse is this book tells you, in which we've seen it to work, is if you're stuck of a challenge and you're not sure how to do it, one of the best things you could do is attach an object to it. All right? So our idea is, how can I reach more Asian students? Okay? That's the challenge. How can I? And so I would look at scamper. I would try to find one of the words, how I can fit. It'll make me think creatively. Or link it to an object. And the answer is not in the object. This object in itself will help me to be more creative. A plastic water bottle. All right? That's the object. And so what you do is you start describing the plastic water bottle. Because it's a good product. It's a good object. It's useful, right? So help me. Describe this. It's clear. We're talking about the bottle, not necessarily the water. It's flexible. Texture. It's got texture to it. Well, you write these all down, and then you say, all right, how can I reach Asian students? What will help me be more flexible? What will bring some texture to it? What will help me be more clear? And what this little object lesson says is if you're stuck in being creative, just attaching a product to it or an object will help you come up with 4 more ideas just by attaching a product or an object to it. Lego is the perfect example of attaching an object to an idea. Because you guys remember the 3 points of the Lego? Remember? What's the first one? Different. Second one? Somebody in the back? They're designed to be connected. And the last one? Takes a third party. And all you have to do is connect an object to it. Let me ask you a question. How many of you, we're ending in less than 10 seconds, how many of you would like to work on, you need to work more on racial diversity in your group? All right. This is what we're going to do. We're going to pray. Because I need that too. But right now we're working on the gender, and then we're going to work on the racial thing.